I'm Dan Weber. I'm the founder and principal of Anacapa Architecture. And today we're going to talk about 3 strategies to enhance the connection between nature and the built environment. One of our strategies is integrating nature within the envelope. What we try to do is, from every room and every experience and every space, have landscape in the distance or a view of the ocean or a view of the mountains framed and integrated as part of the experience so that we always feel connected to nature throughout the house. Inside the home, in order to feel very connected to nature, we try to integrate materials that feel very much part of the environment. So that's natural woods, stone. In this house in particular, the wood wall and ceiling surfaces that look and feel like they belong, and the stone that we have here on the fireplace and on other hard surfaces throughout the home. In a lot of our projects, we implement this concept and use stone that's sometimes found on the site. In our Gibraltar project, we've quarried stone directly from the site and used it to become the flooring material throughout the home. This is very common in our projects. We try to create spaces that bring natural materials in from outside and allow landscape to be an immediate part of the experience from the interior spaces. In order to make a house that feels very connected to nature, I think it's a good idea to look at the context around you and see what parts of that context you can bring outside. So here we're in Southern California. We're surrounded by oak trees. We used oak floors. We're in an environment that has a very light, naturally occurring sandstone. So we try to use elements, they're either that locally sourced stone or they feel like they belong within that environment. Another strategy that we use to connect to nature is creating very carefully framed openings through view corridors so that we always see a glimpse of landscaping at the end of a long corridor. Here we have the entry corridor where we have carefully and intentionally concealed the amazing ocean view that's on the other side of the wall, and seems to have a big emotional impact when that ocean view finally comes into sight. Our approach to designing glass on homes where we want to be very connected to nature is to have those door and window systems be nearly invisible. That means that they're huge panes of glass that extend all the way to the ceiling, all the way to the walls, all the way to the floor. And we try to have flush floor transitions and flush jam conditions so that glass disappears as much as possible. We frequently like to use door systems that have very narrow sight lines, so there's very little or almost no visual interruption between the interior space and the landscape beyond. We've used the same strategy in other places throughout the house, of course in the living room with the entire wall of glass, and at a moment where we looked from the kitchen down towards the office, we've framed the view out into this very beautiful tree beyond. When you're in an environment where you have neighbors close by, like we are here, it's really important to be very careful and specific about what views we want to frame with the openings and what views we want to shield. So we use landscape, and our landscape design partners are an extension of our team. And we work to find specific plantings to very, very carefully screen out things we don't want to see and amplify the beautiful moments that we do want to see. So when you start a project, the entire team should spend a ton of time on the site and get very familiar with the site constraints. That includes the owner, the architect, the landscape architect, maybe interior designers if they're on the team early, and try to discover what spaces should be on what part of the site. We often ask our clients, what experience do you want from your office? Do you want to be looking at the ocean, or do you want it to be more private? What experience do you want to have from your bed when you wake up in the morning, from your shower? In the case of this project, some of those questions were obvious because the ocean view is so important. In other projects, we have had clients that, although they have amazing coastal views, prefer the mountain view. We've had other projects still where some clients want to have a bedroom experience that's very private and secluded. And on the flip side of that, clients who want to have a bedroom experience that's very exposed, very radical on the edge of the hill. So while framing views and enjoying the landscape beyond is very important, of very high importance is also controlling the amount of heat gain that enters the home through sun exposure. So we need to have the right amount of shading to keep the sun from hitting the glass and entering the home when it's too hot. But here in Montecito, it's cool a lot of the year, so we actually want the heat to come into the house. We have other projects where we're conflicted by wanting to capture an amazing view, but capturing that view also means that we're exposing ourselves to very intense sunlight. So we have to be very careful to come up with strategies that shade that glass, prevent too much heat gain while still allowing us to experience the views and experiencing nature beyond the glass. In this house, because we're situated in a canyon, we're able to control the temperature inside by opening the south-facing doors to get a little bit of that breeze. But on this house, we have operable doors on the north side. When you crack those doors open, it actually invites more of that breeze through the house and cools the house down even further. So we're able to modulate that temperature by the amount of doors that we open on both sides of the house. At Anacapa, we adopt the ethos that the architecture is a guest in the natural world and subservient to the landscape beyond. This really guides our approach of taking a very light touch and making the house secondary to the landscape. For example, here on this house, we took an approach to have very minimal hardscape. So very small amounts of paving, very small amounts of driveway and vehicular circulation areas, and reserving as much space as we possibly can for plants, greenery, landscape, and experiences of nature. So when you start a project, one of the earliest things you have to do is figure out where there's moments of nature that you can retain and enhance, and where we need to create experiences. So we always try to think about our projects through the lens of, it's not about being outside and looking at the house, it's being about in the house or in the spaces that you use adjacent to the house and experiencing the landscape. So just as big of a part of the project as designing a home is designing the experiences and the views and the connections to the landscape beyond. A great thing about the climate we live in here in Montecito is that we get a nearly year-round growing season. So we like to have, and our clients like to have, veggie gardens so that we can harvest a little bit of what we eat from the gardens that we grow here on site. And that adds to the experience that no matter where you are on the property, even if you're up on the roof deck, you're surrounded by greenery and plants, and in this case, edible plants. In a lot of our projects, the pool is a very important element. Particularly projects that are in Southern California and that have a view. The pool is a big part of the outdoor experience. In this case, we have decided to locate the pool very close to the living spaces, so it's part of your everyday experience. In other projects, we have the pool located slightly further from the house, so it provides a different experience and another destination for the homeowners. For us, our landscape partners are very important. On this project, we worked with Rob Madej from Bosque, along with the owner, who collaborated with us very, very intimately on the landscape. It's really important when you're designing a home that needs to be connected to nature to find the right landscape partner, bring them onto the team, and collaborate with them from very early on in the process. We truly believe that taking a very site-specific and environmentally sensitive approach creates for a much better home and very special projects. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it and that you're able to incorporate one or more of these strategies into your next project.